Hello and welcome to Aggie Talk, Zoom edition. We're doing this just after the NFC and AFC championships concluded in the NFL. We've got the gang back together virtually. How are y'all doing?
Excellent.
We're doing fantastic, Miles.
That's great to hear. All right, Patrick, Omar, Ryan, Will, and Bob here, ready to talk some sports. And let's kick it off with our blue and gold review. UC Davis finally has sports we can talk about because we're in purple tier now in Greater Sacramento. UC Davis men's basketball had action in La Jolla, California this past weekend. They lost their first game against UC San Diego, 89-69. The defense was not top tier. However, had some nice performances from Damian Squire, 17 points, Elijah Pepper, 13 points, and Ezra Manjin, 11 points. But not a good game for them. I remember checking ESPN while that was going on and just be like, uh-oh, men aren't matching what the women were doing because the women had a nice start to the weekend. And then in the second game, Aggies came back. They fought hard. They forced 21 turnovers, and they won 78-71. Elijah Pepper went off for 20, Caleb Fuller with 18, Kennedy Kohler with 13. A nice bounce back game from the Ags. What do you guys have to think about this past weekend for the men's basketball team?
I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that first game. Having what was it, 7 weeks of just not playing, not being able to really do much as a team. So I don't really put. But in that second game, I did get to catch the game on Saturday, the second game, and they looked a lot more sharp. Still got to cut down on those turnovers, like the unforced errors, but I think if they'll fix that as they go along. But it was nice to kind of see like the 3-point shooting kind of come alive because as we've seen in like past years when they had, Joe Mooney or Stephon Gonzalez that were just sharpshooters, this year that they need some of those players to kind of step up. And you had Elijah Pepper making a couple threes, even Cameron Bach getting in on the threes action as well. So they just if they can, I think it's just a rust thing. If they can kind of get that going, if they can get that kind of going, I think they're going to be fine because they looked active on the defensive end as well, as you mentioned, Miles, with the 21 turnovers.
Yeah, and I also think it's also a hard game to gauge because UC San Diego is like brand new to the Big West and Division One, if I'm not mistaken, Division One NCAA basketball. So I think it's just hard to measure your performance against a team like that. I think UC San Diego has been pretty decent so far this year, though. I think probably like UC Davis, they haven't been able to play much. So I think the no practice affects them as well, or limited practices. But yeah, I think it was they showed a lot of heart in that second game by bouncing back. 21 turnovers is a lot to force too. That's really impressive. So encouraging signs, I think.
Yeah. Looking ahead, the Aggies hopefully they'll be able to play their upcoming slate in Davis, California at the Pavilion Friday and Saturday against UC Santa Barbara. I remember last year we had the pleasure to watch those UCSB games. Those were some nice hard-fought battles. Didn't go the way we wanted, but it's hopefully the Aggies can get their revenge without people in the Pavilion, but get that keep their season alive and play well in the Big West. Maybe there'll be a tournament by the time March rolls around. Who knows?
The one thing I was going to add is Davis has missed, I believe, 4 games or 6 games. I wonder how they're going to do it with the Big West. Like if will it just be like a winning percentage thing? And then just whoever has the better winning percentage is first place, right? Because like there could be a scenario where Davis only plays, maybe like 10 or 12 of the scheduled 20 games, but they have a better winning percentage. So I wonder how they're going to make that work.
It's going to be really interesting. I was talking with Greg. He said you have to get an exemption, I think, if you play under a certain amount of games by the conference to like make the tournament and such. So it's gonna be a feel it out process. I think that's a good point, Omar. But hopefully they'll have a tournament for us to even be trying to get into in March. But that might be counting our chickens before they hatch.
I think we're pretty confident that that March Madness is going to happen, like the larger NCAA tournaments. I think there's a good chance that Big West and other small conferences will have their tournaments as well.
And they moved the Big West tournament to Las Vegas. The tournament, they moved it from Anaheim to Las Vegas starting this year. So I guess you can say like a little more leeway when it comes to a little more leeway when it comes to having the games and the guidelines in the counties. So maybe that'll come into it.
Yeah, easier percent. Yeah, hopefully. But moving on now, let's talk about some women's basketball. They had a nice start to their 60-day hiatus where they got back-to-back wins this past weekend, 80-62 against UC San Diego. In the first one, led by Evan Turner and Kayla Conrad. Conrad had 20 points. Turner had 14, and Sage Stobart had 18. Stobart had 5 made threes. She was stroking it from distance. And the Aggies as a whole shot 50% from behind the three-point arc, tying the school record with 17 three-pointers made. So they were just itching to get back on the pavilion court to play some basketball, it seemed like. And then in that second game, the Aggies matched that intensity, 58-46 in that victory.
Much slower pace.
Yeah, much lower pace, and they shot much more much worse from the three-point line, only 28% as a team. But they held UC San Diego to 10% shooting from the three-point line. And in the second quarter, the Aggies actually only gave up 4 points to UC San Diego. So they were hounding them on the defensive end, which brought their record to 3-0 and gave Jen Gross her 100th career Big West win, I believe.
Yeah, it was a kind of a tale of two games against UC San Diego. I was talking to Greg about that when I was engineering. And, in that first game against San Diego, they really turned it on. We're kind of pouring in buckets. And then the second game, it kind of became more about a defensive battle. And those 4 points in the second quarter were actually all from the free throw line. So San Diego was 0 for 11 from the field the entire second quarter. They did not score once from the field. Very impressive. Not obviously San Diego making the big jump though from D2, but they're certainly no slouch. Like they're 2-3, I want to say, on the year in the conference, which is it's great. Like the Big West is definitely a solid basketball conference for the women, and coming in there getting 2 wins, that's big time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the things that Jen Gross really emphasizes is defense. And you kind of mentioned him, Will, where it was like a tale of two games. On one side in the first game, we saw them with their 3-point shooting, and on their second game, you just saw them clamp up on defense, which is, we know they can do both, right? So it's going to come to a point if they get a rhythm, because like 60 days of a 60-day hiatus is a rough thing to come back from. But, if they can get a rhythm, they're going to be definitely, there's a reason why they were the favorites in the Big West once again.
Yeah, and it's not I was looking at the roster, and I think the only player that is not returning or that is not eligible to return is Sophia Song. So that's a repeat championship team with the exact same roster, barring obviously one very important player. But they've got other players coming in. They've got their 6'6" Scandinavian transfer who's eligible to play this year. She's getting some run. So
Anna Svanholm, I believe her name is.
Yeah. So I'd be pretty worried if I were in the Big West, because UCD is not like they're stopping anytime soon on this championship onslaught.
Yeah, Jen Gross has this Aggie program excelling at heights the Big West hasn't seen, I think, in a long time. Mm-hmm. She's just constantly dominating the opposing teams year in and year out. You can sub out Morgan Birch, an all-time Big West player, and they still win the regular season championship the year after. And it's looking like only 2 games against UC San Diego, obviously, but the kind of defensive intensity looks the same that you've become accustomed to watching this Lady Ags over the past couple of years. So nice to see them even in a pandemic season where you can't really practice all that much, or it's not as many times for the team to be together. They're still playing as a cohesive unit, and hopefully they'll be able to find their way in some sort of tournament towards the end of the year. With that, I think those are the only two Aggie teams playing currently. So we can move on to the wide world of sports.
Yeah, we don't get any lacrosse or field hockey to talk about for a brief.
No equestrian?
I know, no equestrian either.
I've been keeping up, though. I've been keeping up on Instagram.
That's good to hear.
So, I mean, once we're out of this, if I'm still in Davis when equestrian comes back, I'm hoping to do a sit-down interview with some of the equestrian people on the team, get a little bit of a better glimpse into the sport that I'm an expert in.
That'll definitely be broadcast on this channel, YouTube channel. So check back in once the equestrian team comes back. KDVS Sports Channel, Will Weibaum's exclusive interview.
I just wanted to add something real quick. Didn't we get like a player drafted into the MLS?
We did. Third straight year.
Oh yeah, baby. Talk about a pro factory. Nabi Kiminguchi, 18th overall to Minnesota. Unbelievable player. Like I hate to see him go. I had such a great time commentating their games, watching him because he is a stud. He has a really great combination of everything you would need in a center back. He's physically imposing. He's big. He's tall. He's strong. He's fast. Incredible in the air. I don't have the percentage off the top of my head, but he was winning aerial duels like no one's business. And then what it takes to, I mean, obviously you can have all the physical gifts, but what it takes to get to the next level is like the fundamental skills and just like knowing the game. And he's got that too. Super comfortable with the ball at his feet. Great. I mean, in my opinion, he was an excellent ball playing center back. He could pick up the ball. And what I think he did really well, especially that was very successful for the Aggies, was he was great at driving the ball into the space in the midfield to kind of push the team up and kind of make the other team uncomfortable in their pressing. And he could always pick out a good pass. So he did it all. And he just a great competitor. And I think Minnesota got a good player. I'm really excited to see him at the next level.
Yeah,
go for it, Patrick. No, go for it.
I only watched like one of their games, like it was that championship game, and he just popped. Like you knew he just always seemed super comfortable, always in the right spot. I don't think I remember did we play for the championship last year or the
Santa Barbara?
Yeah, I think Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
Like I don't even remember them like having a shot. Like they might have had one shot on goal, but like it was just a dominant performance by the midfield and the defense. So, and he just popped when I watched that game.
Yeah, and it's a shame we didn't get to see him, his senior season at UC Davis, coming off a Big West championship. It would have been great to see what that team could have done. Running it back, missing of course a couple pieces, but I think the two main center backs were there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Will. They were still there, right? It was Kiminguchi and someone else.
Yeah, it was Kiminguchi and Jake Hopt. They were the partnership. Yeah,
so it's a shame you didn't get to see him, but yeah, I mean, just as Will mentioned, all the physical traits that you really want, like especially now, now that he has like pro, he has pro level training. It's gonna be great to see what he can do. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, it's a testament to the whole UC Davis athletics program to becoming, as Will says, a factory, an MLS factory.
Big time.
3 straight years. So great job by the UC Davis men's soccer team. So the last time we were doing an Aggie Talk, Francisco Lindor was not playing on the New York Mets, but now he is, and they're winning the frickin' NL pennant next year, I tell you what. And Ryan with all this San Diego Padres talk, Omar with all this Dodgers talk, he doesn't know what Jacob deGrom and Francisco Lindor, the best 1-2 punch in baseball, has got going for them next year.
Omar's knocked out.
Let me just say, before I get into baseball, Will, Wybaum, Wyman, good to be on the call with you. Patty Rick, Figueroa, good to be on the call with you. Bobby and Miles, great to be on the call with you. Omar, Mickey Mouse Navarro, great to be on the call with you as well. It's a pleasure. Listen, I have some personal news that I was teasing to Will a little bit. This has absolutely nothing to do with sports whatsoever. But you know what? We got 2 hours to fill, and I felt like sharing this because I wanted to see the reactions. Again, nothing to do with sports, but this is about me because I care about me. So, on Christmas Day, I was walking home from work. Yeah, I worked a full shift Christmas Day. Sorry about it. And I was in my Christmas sweater and my Mickey Mouse Santa Claus hat, just a little nod to Omar's championship. And I saw an ad to apply to be on Wheel of Fortune. Now, I don't watch Wheel of Fortune, but you know what? I decided I'd apply. Why not? Completely forgot about it. A couple weeks ago, I got an email back saying, we loved your application. We'd love to have you audition for Wheel of Fortune. And this past week, I auditioned for Wheel of Fortune, waiting to hear back from them. But I might get on the show, win thousands, and we roll from there. So that's my little personal update on a much more serious level. The San Diego Padres, the greatest team ever assembled. Mickey Mouse championship for the Dodgers. Doesn't really matter. We know they can't do it over a full season. The Mets are cute, but even when they have a new owner and everything's looking good, he's a Cohen after all, their GM still finds a way to steal the headlines. So we're not really worried about them. It's really the Padres' year. Thanks, guys.
Omar's in a deep sleep right now. Congratulations on the Wheel of Fortune opportunity. I was not expecting that. Slack-jawed over here. Fell to the floor when I heard that news. Wow. Congrats. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see if that happens. That'll be a lot of fun.
So here's the deal. They don't tell you if you don't get on. So I don't know. Like, I could go for the rest of my life still waiting for the email. But I'm supposed to know by March. So it gives me a month sitting here and preparing. I've been watching a lot of Wheel of Fortune, trying to catch up with the rules.
That means
And, it kind of takes me right up to the baseball season. So it's perfect.
Excellent.
I was saying, I didn't realize I was on mute, but I was saying I can catch you on the before and afters if you like.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I now know what that means. Cause again, did not watch the show until very, very recently. And one of the questions when I did my audition, now keep in mind, I auditioned with two mothers. One was a nurse, one was a writer, and they had children. And I was the third person on this Zoom audition. And they go, oh, they came to me and they asked, oh, what's one of your favorite parts of the show? Thank God I watched about 1 million episodes in the week leading up to my audition, because I made something up and I was right. And he goes, oh, I'm glad you noticed. That's a pretty new thing that we've included to the show. So there you go. Before and after, love it. You get little, let's say the word is chocolate in the middle. You're going to get candy bar afterwards, and maybe, I don't know what goes before chocolate, but I know where you're going, Bobby. I appreciate that. And if I get on the show, I will be reaching out for all help. Let's win thousands on Wheel of Fortune.
Win us a sailboat. Aggie Talk sailboat.
That would be sweet. Aggie Talk sailboat.
Yeah, a little cruise to the
I mean, anything can happen.
Jamaica. Why not? I know that's not sports related, guys. My bad. I know it's a sports pod. I just felt like it was important news for everyone here to know. And Omar, you can go back to sleep. I don't want to.
No, it's all good.
I mean,
but sorry to get us back on track with the hot stove talk though. The Mets have made. I'm pretty impressed by the decisions the signings they've made. Francisco Lindor, I guess it was a trade, but that was a really good get. But just a couple hours ago, the news broke that another guy, Miles, was hoping to get on the roster. Brad Hand, the reliever, has actually signed with the Washington Nationals for $1 year, $10.5 million.
Yeah, all jokes aside, Steve Cohen and the Mets are very good for baseball. The Cleveland baseball team is very bad for baseball. Screw them. I don't like them at all. Dolans are terrible owners. Lindor is one of the most exciting players in the sport. He's also one of the greatest shortstops in the game. One of the greatest shortstops. He's a great player. He's young. Of course, Tatis is only 22, but we don't need to worry about that at the moment. Lindor's the second best shortstop in the game. I mean, it's very a great pickup. Carrasco, huge part of that trade. DeGrom's obviously the ace. Syndergaard's who the heck knows with him and his health. And the rest of the rotation, you got Stroman. Okay, it's kind of a lot of question marks in terms of health. You get Carrasco in there, not that he's been a perfect health history, but that's a really good right-handed arm. The bullpen's still shady because it's the Mets and it always will be. Edwin Diaz, not the answer.
He'll bounce back this year.
Yeah, just like you're supposed to this past year.
It was Mickey Mouse season, Ryan. What happened to that? Starting spring training.
That's a great point. But that doesn't matter over 60. I'm just talking in the playoffs. Of course, the bullpen is supposed to be strong after only 60 games. But after 162, they always choke. Omar knows about that. He can inform you later if you'd like.
Right.
Where was I going? Oh, little inkling here, little Aggie talk inkling. I don't know this to be true. I've been saying for a couple weeks, let's call it an educated guess, that Trevor Rosenthal may be headed to New York to be their closer. I'm a little surprised it hasn't happened yet because I thought it would about a week ago, and it hasn't happened. So I'm not sure it's still going to happen, but that's on the table. I definitely know that that's at least a possibility for the Mets. I think they need a closer. Their bullpen's not great, but the lineup, man, like you got, I don't know, McNeil and Nimmo hitting, 6, 7, 8. Like that's a strong start. Of course, Pete Alonso's most overrated player in the sport, so that's not going to help at first base. But other than that,
DH, please.
yeah, dude, we do need a DH.
DH.
We need a DH. I agree with that statement.
But yeah,
I worry for any roster that does not employ the abilities of D. Gordon.
Strange Gordon.
D. Strange Gordon. So, I mean, unless the Knicks have another trade in the cards to maybe reshuffle and get that guy on the team, I'm not sure how far in the postseason they can really go.
The Knicks are a basketball team, buddy.
I mean, the Mets, sorry. Same color scheme, same area.
Yeah, we'll see. I was pleasantly surprised with the offseason for the Mets. I still don't think they're in the echelon of the Dodgers and Padres, to being all serious. But
wow, put them in the
well,
same echelon.
The Padres aren't even in that echelon of the Dodgers. So
maybe
he knows that's not true. He knows that's
will
not
tell.
true. Omar, I'm gonna send you a video. I just watched it's about a 45-minute breakdown from a Dodgers fan comparing the Dodgers and the Padres. It'll enlighten you. I know you're not. I know you have the little bias going on. Mickey Mouse is in your head. I get it, but let's be real here.
I've after that championship, I've become a lot more peaceful. So it's like, I'm not gonna go back and forth with teams that don't have a World Series. So I've become a lot more peaceful. So I'll let that talk happen. But yeah, I think this baseball offseason just until recently has been pretty boring. If I'm being honest, like it's it was already heading that way, as we've seen in recent years, with owners not really wanting to spend, and now after a pandemic season where they lost millions of dollars, now they have an excuse to not spend any money. So I think that's what we've seen, but I don't know. I just think there's not really much that has changed. I mean, if you want to say the Padres moves were, contender, then okay. But aside from that, there's really been nothing. There's nothing that's changed for me in baseball in terms of like who's contending and who's not. I think the Mets still need one, as Ryan mentioned, in that bullpen. I just think they blew so many games last year that it was just like they're gonna need to switch something there. But until then, I'm just wondering whether baseball will actually start on time, because honestly, I have my doubts about that as well.
I've been yelling about how much I hate Rob Manfred and owners for 3 years now on Aggie Talk. You guys have all heard it. I'm going to say that yelling because I get way too mad. You mentioned that COVID kind of gave the owners an excuse to not spend money. It's not a valid excuse. Is it the excuse they're using? Absolutely. But the Padres are the 29th biggest media market in baseball. There are 30 teams. The Padres have added a $144 million player in Hosmer. If you want to go back to $70 million for Will Myers the year before, then they got $300 million for Manny Machado. Then they go trade for Darvish. They trade for Snell. They put money on the books, adding Musgrove. If the owners want to spend money, they can spend money. The friggin' Cleveland spending $40 million on an entire team is an embarrassment. That's horrible. So I'm not going to get mad about this. I don't care. I think even you, Omar, and Mickey Mouse Omar, you can agree that the Padres what they're doing is good for the sport. Whether it turns into a World Series like I know it will or not, to be seen. But the Mets and the Padres and the Blue Jays, good for the sport right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think when you look at baseball, there's always this argument, oh, but it's a small market. The owners have the capabilities to compete. It's just a lot of them just see it as a business. You know what I mean? If all the owners in baseball were fans of their teams as much like as owners, like baseball would be so much better, because it wouldn't be just a business. And oh, what's the least I could spend and put a team out there and profit from it. So it's just, I think that there's a huge problem when it comes to, especially, you see it in a lot of sports, but especially in baseball where there's no like salary cap and things like that. You see it more often. So I just think the small market argument, it just got bolstered with COVID. And not that I'm saying that they should have, but they're saying, oh, we're already a small market, so we're just not going to spend. But that's not really that's a simple argument you can make, and you'll probably get a pass in the media, but there's really nothing. There's nothing that the owners could do anything they really wanted to. It's just they don't want to. And I think over time, especially once we get out of this, and once MLB gets a TV deal, and whenever that's due, I just think there's gonna be something baseball needs to address. But I don't know if they'll be able to with that commissioner.
So so Cleveland is 40 million is fielding a team. Is that what you said, Ryan? How is that possible?
In the game, they traded him away because they didn't want to pay him money, which is pathetic. And you know how that's possible? Omar mentioned it a little bit. Owners don't like their teams. They're not fans of the game. And where does that start? The president of the owners, commissioner of baseball, doesn't like baseball. And it's the most annoying thing. He's a freaking lawyer who's just trying to make money. Like, it's like he doesn't like the sport. He's not a baseball fan.
I mean, that's how sports are going to be under capitalism, though, and profit is the only thing that talks, right? And at the end of the day.
I mean, you can make that argument, but I'd say at least Goodell and Silver and, other commissioners at least pretend to like to, like Rob Manfred, outside of saying, I don't like the sport of baseball, pretty much says I don't like baseball on a nightly basis. Like, he makes it very clear. It's not like I'm coming up with some hot take here. The dude does not like the sport. This is a job, as if this is a job just as much as someone selling paper is the job.
I mean, I think Adam Silver and Roger Goodell make the same business decisions Rob Manfred does in behind closed doors. They just have a better way of presenting themselves to the public.
Right. And say what you want about Bud Selig, he was commissioner 20 years before Manfred. A flawed commissioner, no doubt. He was not perfect. They lost a World Series because of him. Not perfect. But that dude owned the Brewers before he was the commissioner. Very, very clearly a baseball fan, wanted the best for baseball. And I believe that Manfred wants what's best for 2021 baseball, because that's what he's worried about. He does not care a lick about 2040, 2050, 2060. He doesn't care about his kids caring because he doesn't like it. It's not his. Oh God, I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
Theo Epstein for commissioner of baseball.
Down. You know why I'm down? Because Epstein was part of the revolution for the Red Sox and the Cubs that kind of started this whole tanking thing. That's bad. But that also means that he understands it on a level to where he could address the exact issues of how to fix tanking. I love baseball more than anything in the world. I honestly don't have a perfect solution for how to make teams not tank. Theo Epstein, knows it on a much different level. Knows it from an inside level, to the point where I think he could go in there and implement rules and make it clear that if you want to own a team, you have to root for them to win the World Series. You have to spend money for them to try and win. You don't just get a cop out and get your extra few $1 million because you're already a billionaire.
Yeah, and from everything I'm sorry, Miles. From everything I've seen and heard from him, he's a pretty smart guy as well. So I think it would be great for baseball. Of course, as long as Manfred keeps doing everything for the owners of Major League Baseball, he's going to be there for as long as it permits him. But yeah, I definitely think Theo Epstein taking that job in the baseball office definitely just kind of sets him up for, whenever the time may come. I think he's going to eventually be the commissioner.
That would be a nice replacement, I think. It's just, at the end of the day, the commissioner is only a figurehead for the owners. So once you have them basically pulling his strings, there's still going to be a huge focus on the profits of baseball in 2021 over how beautiful the game looks, or whether or not it's still actually culturally relevant in 2040. So I think we need huge changes to sports as they are today if we want them to actually start caring about the fans in the stands instead of the profits in the hands of the owners.
I agree, but I think if it could get out of Manfred's hands and into someone like Theo's hands, you could see rule implementations that you can't force an owner to spend money, you can't force an owner to root for the team, but you can see things that would certainly encourage it and incentivize spending money and winning. Because winning the World Series, this is a little secret, guys. Winning the World Series, winning the Super Bowl, winning the NBA championship is really, really good for your team in terms of its value and selling merch and selling tickets and selling hot dogs and parkings and all of that. it's really helpful to have a really good team. And I think that it's easier to have a bad team that doesn't cost any money because you're going to bring in a certain amount no matter what with TV deals and whatnot. But you can make a lot more if you win. It's just a little bit riskier, but it's way more fun.
True that.
Coming from someone that spent a lot of money on championship merch, I can agree that it probably brings them in a lot of money. So yeah, just the first hand thing.
It's a shame you spent all that money on Mickey Mouse gear, man. You could have gotten a Disneyland.
Literally has Mickey Mouse on some of the gear too.
That's what I was going to say.
On the NBA champ, on his Lakers gear, it was in Disney World, so he has
the
the
hardest
Mickey Mouse gear.
The hardest championship to ever win. You know, why am I not going to get a memory from that? You know, from on both sides. My team's won the hardest championship in a pandemic. I don't know who can really say that.
It is a testament.
Mickey Mouse.
Testament to
That's
both those teams, LA teams, for winning in a pandemic. But
I won the Encinitas Little League 9-10-year-old championship for Majors division. I don't know if that matters to Omar. I just wanted to let him know that.
Did you get a shirt? Did you sell shirts with Mickey Mouse on them?
I have an Encinitas / Oakland A's 2011 Majors championship T-shirt. I was on third base when they hit a grand slam in the 5th inning. Sorry about it.
Nice. That's a Ryan Cohen original right there.
Sorry about it.
Any more MLB talk we want to get to? Ryan, Omar, Patrick, Will, Bob?
The Giants, I want to talk about my Giants just for a little bit. There's not much to do, but I am really happy that they signed Alex Wood. I was clamoring for that to happen, and Farhan Zaidi got it done. And I think he really fits the team well as adds like a strong lefty arm to the rotation.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the Giants, Bob. Will, that's a great Giants hat you got down there. You look great. And you know what? As I don't like the Giants, Bob, but at least they have 3 real World Series championships this decade.
Sure. No Mickey Mouse out here.
No Mickey Mouse. Also, what I want to say is for the Giants and the Royals, shout out the 2014 World Series. Both those teams, I think everyone kind of agrees, unless there's some expanded playoff thing. They're probably not playoff teams in 2021. They're certainly not World Series contenders in 2021, but they've signed Major League Baseball players. They've signed Alex Wood and DeSclafani and Kurt Casale, and then the Royals went out and got Carlos Santana and Mike Minor and a few other major leaguers. Here's the thing about fans. What makes pro sports so fun is that we know the players on the different teams. And if you consistently just bring up young guys, which is fine, it's good to get young guys a shot, I get it. They're bringing them up because they're cheap. That's the whole reason that young guys are getting all this time in major leagues. Mm-hmm. It's way more fun for me. I don't really want to watch a Royals game, and I'm a diehard baseball fan because I don't know who's playing first base and who's playing third base. I knew when it was Moose and Hosmer, but if it's Carlos Santana out there and I see Alex Wood starting, it's like, okay, like I've seen those guys before. Wood was good a couple of years ago on the Rangers. Santana had some good years in Cleveland. Like, heck yeah, I'm way more down to watch that game. Come to talk to the Giants. DeSclafani had some good years in Cincinnati. Alex Wood, we've seen him on the big stage before. Kurt Casale's backed up in some big games. Like, I'm way more interested in those guys than Chadwick Tromp. And I mean, I can't even think of a starter from the Giants rotation last year. They were brutal.
Kevin Gausman's
good. Yeah, it was a good addition too. They brought him back on the qualifying offer. Good point.
They should have. They had Drew Smiley. He only ended up playing like 40 innings, but he had like 60 strikeouts in that 40 innings, something like that. I really wish they re-signed him. Atlanta took him. But yeah, the Giants were good last year. They had a good rotation. Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to Alex Wood fitting in. I'm pretty excited. I think they'll be above 500 team next year. I think they're going to turn a lot of heads.
Yeah, you got a big deal. Also, I'd like to say one more thing. For
Trump,
any Aggie Talk listeners that don't know, I honestly pulled that name out of nowhere. I just
that was a
him.
good goal.
Yeah, thank you. Before the season last year, Rob Henderson and Ryan Cohen placed a friendly wager of $100 Monopoly dollars, minus the Monopoly, of who would have more wins, the San Diego Padres or the San Francisco Giants. And of course, the Padres are the better team. We all knew that heading into the season. But I just wanted to give a lot of credit to Rob. He paid it in full. I honestly kind of wasn't expecting that. Not that I don't think you're an honest guy, just in general.
Right.
You want to make that bet again this year? Do it.
I'll pass. I think the Padres made if you give me 15 games, I'll be willing to do it. Even that, it's pretty iffy.
You want like 15 games into the season, or like the first?
No,
15?
like the Padres like would have to win by 15 games or more.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting one. That's a much better over/under line. I just wanted to thank you, Rob. When we're back in studio, hopefully some point in our lives, maybe dinner on me. All right.
Sounds perfect.
Right.
Let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers, indeed.
That's great. Hopefully one day we will be able to have the Aggie Talk brethren in the same room without worrying about COVID spreading. What's that, Ryan?
Super spreader.
Thousands and thousands on Wheel of Fortune. Millions, maybe. Many people say. I will buy everyone dinner.
All right.
Looking forward to that.
Many
Ryan.
are saying millions for Ryan.
What are you saying?
Many people are selling.
Many people are saying it.
Many people. I also haven't even gotten on the show yet, so I should really temper the expectations here.
That's funny. Any more MLB talk now that we got through all of our teams?
So there's All-Stars, Golden Gloves, Silver Slugger. So Silver Slugger and Golden Gloves, that's like all NBA, all defense kind of.
Yeah, so All-Stars is in
All-hitting
the middle of the season. That's like a mid-season award.
Yeah.
You make the All-Star team. Silver Slugger means you were the best hitter at your position. Gold Glove means you're the best defensive player at your position.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Fernando
So
Tatis means that you're the best at everything in the world.
so D Gordon's winning both of those.
D. Strange Gordon has kind of been bad for
You should
5
just get back on roids.
but he's really fast and cool dude. So D.
Great guy.
Strange Gordon, I know you're listening. I know you're a big fan of Aggie Talk. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, well, what if D's listening and he hears you give him that terrible advice you just gave him?
To get back on steroids.
Yeah,
Bush League.
that's not good.
Marlins 2031 champs.
Whoa, staking his claim.
Bring back D Gordon as the hitting coach, and he's giving the players roids, and they win.
D. Strange Gordon is still on the Mariners.
Keep it up.
I mean, the Marlins did win the same amount of game as the Padres did in the second round. So I mean, they're there. You know, they're there.
Bagel for the Pods. Couldn't show up for anything.
The Marlins have more championships, legit championships, in the last 33 years than the Dodgers. So just keep that in mind. 2 of them actually. You know what? Even if we're including the Mickey Mouse Championship, the Marlins have more championships than the Dodgers. So you keep running mouth over there, sweetheart.
Alrighty. I think that's a good way of closing up our MLB talk. We just finished the NFL championship games. Had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers become the first team ever to make the Super Bowl when they're the home team. Never happened before in NFL history. And guess who did it? The GOAT, Tom Brady, defeated Aaron Rodgers. What was your guys' first impressions off that game?
Anger. No, for real though. I am a Aaron Rodgers fan. He's been, frankly, not wasted, but definitely not maximized, as I think Michael put it, or one of you guys put it in the chat. But yeah, I mean, it was just like so frustrating. It felt like maybe things were finally going to go right for this team. Like they had a great season. Their defense seemed to be picking everything up. And then what do you know? Kevin King forgets how to play corner in the championship game, including having a very controversial last holding call that they weren't calling for a majority of the game. And then all of a sudden it's holding now, even though, again, Aaron Rodgers' interception that resulted in a Buccaneers touchdown didn't get called. So I just like some consistency, and that was like such a brutal way to lose it, especially the fact that the refs kind of decided it with calling it a holding.
No, and I think that not only that, because I mean, if you look at the replay, it was a hold, but the fact that like the play happened, there was like probably like 5 seconds, and then they threw the flag, which was like a thing for me, like either throw the flag or don't. So that was a big deal with me. But I mean, as when Miles said, you know, Tom Brady beat Aaron Rodgers. Tampa Bay's defense beat Aaron Rodgers because they got the stops when they needed to, and Brady did everything he could to lose that game, especially in the second half. He literally did three interceptions. That's right, Bob. 3 interceptions, not 1, not 2, but 3. Yeah, he just played awful in the second half, and I mean, honestly, I props to the Tampa Bay defense because throughout the season, that was really the one question mark was like, can the Tampa Bay defense hold up or get the stops when they need to? And they've kind of hit their stride at the right time. And even with those two safeties out, Winfield and uh, Whitehead, I want to say his name was, who got out during the game. Um, just they've done it. Devin White is a monster. He's a beast. So I think the Vita Vea coming back was actually pretty big because he was, he was clogging up right there in the middle, getting a lot of pressure as well. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what Tampa Bay. I definitely didn't think they'd get to this position, but congratulations to them.
Yeah, I think the Jason Pierre-Paul trade, Dave Gettleman just looks like an absolute fool once again. He was terrorizing Aaron Rodgers the whole day, and the freaking Giants got a 3rd and 5th round pick for him, I think, only. So just really hard for Aaron Rodgers to ever really set his feet and throw throughout the whole game. He was always on his back foot. He had a couple of touchdown throws he could have made, just couldn't get the time he needed to deliver the ball. But Tom did what he needed to do, and now he's in his 10th Super Bowl, 6-3 record. Let's see if he can get to 7. Patrick, I think he's got something to say about that.
I was just first on to say Shaq Barrett. That was also one, like, he got cut. Like, he got cut by the Broncos because, like, they already had Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, and he basically signed like a league minimum contract last year, and now he's like literally just went and did that. I think he got a big extension too. I don't know if he got tagged or if it was an extension. I kind of forgot, but he was also like getting after Rodgers, and it's just I don't really want to see Tom Brady win it again. This is really, like, I thought it'd be over by now. Like, after last year, I was like, okay, it's done. And yet again, he somehow made it, even though his playoff passer rating is lower than Tim Tebow's. Whatever.
Iconic stat.
That's an amazing stat.
I watched the end of the game today, and I wanted to congratulate, not congratulate, but just Omar. I thought what you were saying about Green Bay choking at the end there was really astute analysis. Of course, your Aggie Talk's choking expert in a championship season, but I can't believe they kicked the field goal at the end there. I don't know too much about football, as you all know, but I was watching and I was like, all right, it's like 4th and goal, I don't know, 8 yards from the end zone or whatever. I didn't understand mathematically the logic of kicking a field goal there. And Joe Buck, great announcer, by the way, and Troy Aikman agreed with me. So just wanted to throw in my 2 cents on that one.
This has got to be one of the most holistic episodes of Aggie Talk we've ever had. I'm talking about baseball. Ryan's talking about football. This is great discourse.
Yeah, no, and and
Omar's talking about choking.
I think that the decision to go for a field goal, it just doesn't make any sense to me, and that's just something that's going to live with LaFleur for. If he doesn't win a Super Bowl, it's going to live in his career for the rest of his coaching career, however long he coaches, because it was just because regardless if you kicked a field goal, if you went for it, you had to get a touchdown. You had to get a stop. Like, let's say if they kick the field goal, they have to get a touchdown, and if they went for it, they had to get a touchdown on that play anyways. So it doesn't. The only difference was they had to go for 2, and that was really it. I just don't really understand when momentum had actually pretty much stopped for the Packers. Because they had momentum at the end of the 3rd, and then they kind of just went stale, and now they're down in the goal line, a goal line situation, and they don't go for it. I don't really understand that play call, and I mean, as you saw what Aaron Rodgers said afterwards, he kind of thought they were going to go for it on 4th as well.
I think you can put some blame. I think Aaron Rodgers made some questionable decisions at that when they had 1st and goal at the 8. Their 2nd and 3rd down, you could see plenty of open green space in front of him, green field, where he could have possibly ran it in or at least made it 4th and manageable, not 4th and 8, where if you go for it, it's pretty dicey.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bob.
No,
I was just gonna say I agree with it 100%. Like, I also thought they could have had a better play call. Like, like it seemed like I don't know if, like, again, I probably have to go double check, but it seemed like all their receivers, they sent them all to the end zone. They didn't really have anything like underneath. Like, again, I'm not 100% on that, but it's like, you don't have to go for 6 every time. Like, if you get to the 4, kind of like what Bob's saying, like, it's so much easier and you're way more likely to try to go for it because, it's easier, it's less yardage. But I don't know, the red zone offense looked a little iffy. Also on that one drive where they only had to settle for 3, like, instead when it was 14-7, they weren't able to punch it in on that drive either. So just something to note.
Yeah, and I recall on that first down play when they were down at I think he threw it, or I don't remember clearly if it was first or second down. He threw it to Devontae Adams in the back of the end zone, but he had Adam Lazard basically running free, like at the goal line. So it could, like, if he would have caught it, it probably would have been inside the 1 or a touchdown. But I just think, I think you definitely can't put all the blame on Matt LaFleur because down the stretch, Aaron Rodgers did have some questionable, decisions or try to force some things. But yeah, I just think it's the same thing we keep seeing with the Packers, with the Aaron Rodgers Packers that we've seen in the past. The offensive line not really being there, giving Aaron Rodgers like literally no time to throw. The defense, kind of being, I mean, they stepped up in the second half, but in the first half, the defense was not great. So yeah, I just think, I really like Aaron Rodgers, despite the fact of everything he did to the Cowboys or he's done to the Cowboys. I really like Aaron Rodgers, and I honestly just think he's going to end his career with 1 ring. I think he's going to go the way Drew Brees did, which sucks.
So he will be a Steeler and he will win a Super Bowl there. And, after next season, when Ben retires, he will be in Pittsburgh, guarantee it.
All right, that'd be pretty interesting, Patrick. But there are a lot of talks about him and his future not being entirely certain. In his post-game interview, he's saying there's a lot up in the air, myself included. So with him, apparently Matthew Stafford's going to be on the trade market too. Maybe Matt Ryan. Could be a lot of quarterback turnover this offseason. That'll be
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson, yeah,
Watson's
too. That's a huge seems like he's on his way out. So a lot going on in the NFL. You guys want to move it to the AFC game that just concluded? The Buffalo Bills had a miraculous season. Oh, Ryan wants his butt in. Here, go, please. Oh, you're muted or something.
Can you hear me now?
I heard him.
There we go.
I wanted to ask who won the game because I watched a quarter of one football game, and that's my football for the year.
Good for you.
Chiefs won.
It was my first football since the Super Bowl last year. So
All right.
we'll see if I watch. Obviously, no Super Bowl parties this year, so I probably won't watch Super Bowl. I don't like football. But big sports guy, and I just wanted to say congrats to Tom going to the Super Bowl. And who won the Bills game? Who did the Bills play?
The same team that was in the Super Bowl last year, the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs.
The
Right.
GOAT.
Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes' dad, of course, former Met, Major League Baseball player.
That is true.
And
Realistic
Patrick
approach.
Mahomes owns part of the Kansas City Royals. So go Mahomes.
The GOAT Mahomes. Miles, as you were saying, go ahead. Finish your recap of the game.
Oh, I was just going to say, looks like they had a nice start, led 9-0. It was like, the chat was starting to pop off in Aggie Talk. Are the Chiefs wounded? Are the Bills really going to do it? And then just like that, you see the Kansas City offense return back, ultimately winning, I think, 48-24. They put up an insane show on that side of the field. What'd you guys see?
I know Bob cursed them for a fact. Like, I know that happened. It's like the minute they go 9-0, Bob said, the Bills are going to the Super Bowl or winning the Super Bowl. I don't know.
Week 12.
Yeah. And then it's like a 21-0 run. But the Bills were like usually I remember them being kind of aggressive, but they have like two like fourth and like it was a fourth and goal and I believe like a fourth and short where they like kick field goals. And it's like you have way too much faith in your defense, Sean McDermott. Like I get your defensive mind, but you're not stopping this offense. And like literally like right on cue, the Kansas City Chiefs drive and score. I believe it was a field goal right after the first field goal, and then a touchdown right after the second field goal. So it was just like, you got a young quarterback who's big. I'm pretty sure he could do something crazy. He's also got a cannon arm, so just take a chance, be aggressive.
I think they
You're
missed
playing the
out
champs.
on a lot of Josh Allen running opportunities down in the red zone. He's money with the ball in his hands, lowering his shoulder. Like they were saying, he's basically a linebacker playing quarterback. So that really befuddled me.
Yeah, and I think I don't get why you go for it on fourth down on your first drive, at like the 48, and then you don't go for it when you're down in goal distance, because it's exactly what they did. And if you're gonna play a team like the Chiefs, you're not gonna win if you're just playing for points, because it just doesn't make any sense. If you saw what I think last year was the biggest sign. Like they can score points like in a snap. Ask Bob, he knows they can score points like just with a snap of a finger. And I think Mahomes, once the offense got going, after they went down 9-0, once the offense got going, you just couldn't stop him. Mahomes was literally just playing pitch and catch with his receivers. Like it was just if he moved outside the pocket, it was like an automatic 20 yards to Tyreek Hill or to Travis Kelce. And honestly, they just look so impressive. And I just think they're going to go back to back. And I honestly think it's going to be in a blowout fashion as well.
Wow, that's an early prediction there from Omar. I think the Bucks defensive line might be able to give the Chiefs some trouble because apparently their left tackle Eric Fisher has an injured Achilles. So the Packers had a backup left tackle in too, I believe, and you saw how that went for Aaron Rodgers. While Mahomes is more mobile and they have more weapons than Rodgers, certainly. You never know if he gets injured or hurt and hampered in the early part of the game by that D line. You never know what can happen.
I see Chad Henne get some action in the Super Bowl. But yeah, no, I just think on the Bill side, the conservative play, you're not going to win a game like that. But I mean, they definitely have some pieces to grow. But at the same time, I saw this one tweet from a Cowboys writer. He was like, "I hate when announcers use the phrase they'll be back next year, because especially in the NFL, it's like everything switches from year to year. Like you can go completely upside down. Look at the 49ers. Their whole team was hurt this year. Like they didn't expect that. So especially in a situation like that, not going all out and not, putting it all on the line and settling for field goals. I just think they got really outclassed by the Chiefs.
I think the biggest optimism for the Bills, though, is that they got to keep Brian Dable, who is their offensive coordinator, and he's had a lot of success this year. Everyone thought he'd for sure be a coaching hire, but it looks like no one really wanted to give him a job, or a lot of other really successful coordinators a job, which it's kind of weird. But I mean, maybe that's the piece of optimism why a lot of people believe the Bills will be back. I have faith that they could be back, but like Omar said, they could also get hit by like a freak injury wave, kind of like the Niners. So that's a good point. Like there's no for sure things.
Yeah, I mean, with the Dolphins always getting better in that division, Patriots could bounce back.
The Chargers.
Chargers, yeah. There's going to be a lot of turnover like there is every year in the NFL. So that's a good call, Patrick. Not to say they'll be back next year. You never really know.
Who said Chargers?
Me. They literally have Justin Herbert, who is a stud, and they have an offense. If they just get some consistency, sorry about that. On the defensive end, and maybe some injury luck, which I don't know because it's the Chargers, and that doesn't seem to exist over
They
there.
need a better team doctor, and they'll be fine.
Karma.
Yeah, but I do think like they were in a lot of their games, so I just think I think they can definitely bounce back and maybe have a couple of those games go their way, and they'll definitely be a team
An
that'll
LA
be there.
sports thing. They're in the games and they choke. You're in the season and they choke. I mean,
Obviously, this is a full long season for the football, so then they choke over the long season. LA knows all sorts of things about choking over a long season. It's going to stay that way.
First of all, that's not LA. That's my first thing because it's the Chargers, and the only LA team is probably like the Raiders or the Cowboys or something. But yeah,
I was told they're in LA and that they're not in San Diego. Therefore, they get all the LA crap.
the only useful thing the Chargers and the Rams are doing in football is they're allowing 2 opportunities a year for your team to come into town. So you can go watch them play.
Chargers
And they have a
don't
cool
want
stadium.
sports.
Yeah, I think the Chargers with Justin Herbert and Derwin James on both sides of the field. That's pretty good top 2. And they got the Rams defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley, who ran the best defense in the league this year. So things could be looking up for them. Who knows? But yeah, you guys want to do any Super Bowl predictions?
Wait,
Omar already
before-
seemed to hint at his. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was gonna say, like, as a Steelers fan, I have to do a quick recap. So just I guess watching the AFC Championship, it's so painful because especially like mid-season, I felt like it'd be us and the Chiefs at one point, and now seeing Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell both go to the Super Bowl, like, is kind of like, man, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, that's actually painful. Whatever. Next year, I guarantee it.
You're sounding like me, but I think I mean with the Steelers, their offense was a whole question that we had. We're their offense, and who knows what they'll do, especially with Ben probably staying because he has 42 million reasons to stay. Which I don't care how much I hated football. If someone was offering me $42 million to play one more year, you bet I'd do it. So I don't really know there's much they can really improve on for next year unless they get a couple of steals in the draft. But yeah.
Pat,
ahead,
I have
Ryan.
a comment. Pat, can you hear me? This is for Patrick Arthur Figueroa, also known as Patty Rick. Corvette.
I've had to embrace that at this point. I just say it as a joke, honestly. Like, it's whatever. Like, it's what happens when you got personalities. I'll put it that way. But Ryan, you're not really coming through.
What does Corvette mean? I was told to say that. I don't know what that means.
It's a song that's used for a TikTok dance that one of our receivers consistently does. I think you might like it.
Juju Patrick Schuster.
Yes.
Palm Beach Poly grad. I was a freshman when he was a senior.
Let's go.
Yeah.
See, I know sports. Juju does the TikToks. I didn't know it was Corvette, but
he does the TikToks.
I'm all about TikTok. Shout out.
Shout out TikTok.
Honestly, if I was the Steelers, though, like, I'd have to talk Ben into retiring because that could free up like $20 million. And you just trade for Matthew Stafford because Matthew Stafford's contract will cost $20 million this year and then $21 million next year. That's literally what you'd see from Ben.
You're gonna have to
Matthew
drag
Stafford.
me out of the facility. If you're telling me, sorry, Ryan, if you're telling me I'm set to make $42 million, you have to drag me out of that facility because there's no way I'm retiring.
Well, the Steelers
I don't care if
cut
this
him
is my
too.
last year.
I mean, I don't
And
think they would do that,
They
but
want to do that.
yeah, I know
I
they
don't know
wouldn't
about
do that.
trading for Stafford though, because never won a Super Bowl, best friends with Clayton Kershaw, known choker, and I just don't think you want to. I don't think you want to associate with chokers like that.
That's honestly
Great call.
a great connection. That's a great connection right there. Once you said Matthew Stafford, I knew where you were going with that because it's mentioned like 3,000 times each broadcast. So I knew where you were going with that. So I'll give you props on that one, Ryan.
This needs to be titled the holistic approach to Aggie Talk when we post this on YouTube.
These go on YouTube?
Yeah.
Get to know. We have like 8 subs.
Yeah.
Where
Give us a sub, Ryan.
Yeah,
Come on.
Same. I'm boost us
Give
up.
us a sub. I'll put the link in the Snapchat.
Send it
There's 8
in
subs
the
and
Zoom chat right now. I'll sub.
There's 8 subs and there's 7 of us.
Let's go. Bob hasn't done it, so 6.
6?
We reached a lot of we hit a lot of viewers when we did that live stream. We actually got up to triple digits in total viewers, which was pretty good.
Let's
Like,
go.
Great.
I think
It was
so.
all
You know,
my extended family.
it was yeah, no, that was actually really fun. I hope we can do something similar to that soon. But
Definitely.
Yeah, we should plan on one for the NFL draft. I know you guys love that. So Super Bowl predictions. I guess I can start it off. I think, unfortunately, Tom Brady's gonna pull this one out. I don't know how he's gonna do it, but I just think he's gonna win it. And something might happen with the Chiefs or whatever, but I'm predicting the Bucks in a close one. Not sure about the score yet. You have to come back to me when it gets closer to the game. Bob?
I got Kansas City Chiefs. I'll give you a score. I'll say Chiefs win by 8. Chiefs by 8. If there's any God up there, then the Chiefs will win. So naturally, I'm sure the Buccaneers will probably win. But I got the Chiefs.
My Super Bowl prediction, I got Chiefs 38, Buccaneers 24. I think it's gonna be like one of those games where the Bucks maybe get an early lead, but honestly, I just don't see a way that Chiefs offense is gonna shut down. And I just think, I think it's gonna be, obviously it's a great matchup. All the storylines we're gonna hear is Mahomes versus Brady, right? This is exactly what the NFL wanted. Mahomes versus Brady, but I honestly just think that I think the Chiefs are like levels above everyone else in the NFL. So I think I'm predicting a 2-touchdown win by the Chiefs.
I'm gonna go the way that I always go when I do football predictions. It's the team I think is gonna win. The first 2 numbers that pop in my head. It's gonna be Chiefs 30, Bucks 17.
Nice.
I like it.
I got Chiefs 45, Buccaneers 10.
Wow.
Just steamroll them.
Huge steamroll for their.
I would love it. I would enjoy that game very much if that were to happen.
They're gonna do a reverse of the Buccaneers Raiders when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. Wasn't the score like insane lopsided? But yeah, no, I'm excited though. I mean, it's the last football game that counts until September. So we'll
Ryan,
see.
you got a score?
Hopefully the last COVID football game, but we'll see. So yeah, you guys want to move on, do some quick NBA talk?
Wait, we need Ryan. We need Ryan's
Yeah.
call.
We need Ryan's prediction.
Uh-oh. He's freezing.
So I found Aggie Talk on YouTube and just went back and watched some of our November 16th. My internet is bad. You guys are all frozen. Well, I'm gonna keep talking.
You look very
you hear me
chipper
now?
in your frozen photo, so it's fine.
You're good to go.
All right, cool. So we got the Bucks and the Chiefs. Mahomes, son of a baseball player, owns part of the Kansas City Royals. Go Chiefs. Andy Reid, good looking dude.
Look at
Go
that.
Chiefs.
Kid knows his stuff.
That was easy.
For my score, I'll have 41-33 Chiefs.
Nice.
And I have 41-33 Chiefs.
Yeah.
Y'all do some NBA talk real quick before we get out of here.
Let's do it.
Always ready.
Will Wyman.
You guys heard of James
Hakeem.
Harden?
What was that?
Have you guys heard of James Harden?
I have.
Who is that guy?
My favorite player. Go Nets.
Where did he was he played one of those like Southwest states in college, right?
Yeah, ASU.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Go Nets, go.
Doing his research.
New favorite team.
No, I can do that. Huge James Harden fan.
You bigger.
Alrighty.
I am as big a James Harden fan as James Harden was at the end of his Houston days. And I meant that literally. You know his middle name was Edward? Bet you didn't.
Ryan does though. So let's start with the James Harden.
I mean, the
trade.
Nets, bro.
The Nets,
So
KD,
down. So
Kyrie, James Harden.
has his little 50 fit. Yeah, I mean, what a team. Harden, lifelong Houston basketballer. Disappointing that I honestly forgot the name of the Houston team, the Rockets, lifelong Rocket. So always said I want to spend the rest of my career there as a diehard Houston Rockets fan because of James Harden. That sucks. But clearly stopped putting in effort. That was about as clear as you've seen on a professional level. And it's excellent to see it. Will, can you stop laughing? You're making me laugh. I'm happy to see him on the big stage in New York. Emphasis on big. James Harden, not married, but I do hope he finds happiness and success in the Big Apple.
That was pretty good, honestly. Your only pitfall. He spent a very substantial chunk of his early career in Oklahoma City, and he was putting in some ridiculous scoring and all around performances at the beginning of the season before he got traded. But I'm glad you're sticking with him.
I remember his days with Russell Westbrook very well. And KD. Oh, so he's back with KD now in the Nets. Good. Cool. Heck yeah.
Happy to hear you keeping up with
your
your
boy. Go Sun Devil.
Yeah, so I just want to get your guys' takes on that trade. I think the Nets become the favorites in the East because that offense just seems impossible to stop when they're all cooking. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I really disagree that they're the favorites in the East. I think the Bucks are just a much completer team. They don't have nearly enough on the defensive end. There's still plenty of time for them to make a trade to fix that. But DeAndre Jordan as your number one rim protector with Jeff Green, Durant's a decent defender, but that's just not enough to get it done. They have no
plus they might have to play Colin Sexton, which
I
don't want
the Nets killer.
But yeah, I mean,
the Cavaliers yesterday, after the Cavaliers beat the Nets twice, just yesterday they gave up 141 to the Celtics in regular 48 minutes, no overtime. 141 points. Jaylen Brown like 30 points in 19 minutes.
Yeah, they lost by 33.
So and that's the Cavaliers. So if that's any indication, the Nets are.
But the Nets beat the Bucks is the thing recently.
They did.
So I think you can see that they have a high variance. Some games when they're clicking, you can't stop them. Other games, their defensive holes show a lot easier. That's why I think they're such a polarizing team. So I think it's going to be such an interesting playoffs in the Eastern Conference. I think right now in the West, it's seeming like the Lakers and Clippers once again have distanced themselves from the field, with the Lakers particularly looking dangerous. But it's an interesting Eastern Conference. Sorry, go ahead, Omar.
Yeah, just a quick thing. I could be wrong, but from what I recall, when they played the Bucks, it was just Harden and KD, right? So they haven't been on all cylinders with Harden, KD, and Kyrie. So I'm interested to see how that looks, if we'll ever see it, because since Kyrie has been back, Harden's looked kind of normal. He hasn't really Harden hasn't looked his normal self. But we'll see how that works. But don't worry, JaVale McGee might be on the way. He might save the Brooklyn Nets. But yeah, no, I think earlier, Miles, when you were saying the Nets become the favorite, I thought you were going to stop there. And I was like, did you forget about the reigning champion Lakers? I just think the Lakers' depth is just insane. LeBron and AD are playing the lowest minutes of their careers. There's like around 32 minutes a game. And they're blowing these teams out. They're top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating. Their depth is just absolutely insane. Dennis Schroeder, they basically
what it's worth.
What happened?
Couldn't blow out the Warriors for what it's worth.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you get caught by teams way below you. It happens when you lose your focus. But I think getting Dennis Schroeder for basically Danny Green and a late first, that's just insane. But I think, like you said, Miles, if the Clippers hold their end of the bargain, I think we'll finally get that Battle of LA that everyone's been clamoring for. And honestly, I really wanted to see it in the bubble as well. I was looking forward to it, but it kind of just seems. I mean, the Nuggets are kind of picking it up a little bit too, but it seems like the loss of Jeremy Grant is going to be something that's going to affect them down the road.
Yeah, I honestly think the Jazz might be the third best team in the conference now, just with the way Mike Conley's had a resurgence this year. They got Bogdanovich back, and I think Rudy Gobert with that third highest contract in NBA history, he's probably not worth that, but he's still playing pretty well, captaining a big time defense. But yeah, everything you say about the Lakers, they're an insane team. Their starting lineup is cooking teams. I think their offensive rating is like the best in the history of the league right now. It's just like insane numbers. But yeah, any other teams jump out to you guys?
Miles, let's just say real quick, you might not want to mention that thing with the Jazz to Shaq.
For real. He's been so annoying calling out the young players who are actually like getting better at the game and being like, you don't have what it takes. Like, what are you doing, man? Why do you have to be so annoying?
I have two quick hits that I want to just go through in the NBA. Paul George resurgence, that's awesome. And then second, I blanked. Oh, Ibaka is a way better signing than Gasol.
Gasol.
I can see that Will's the one that's sending you these messages.
I'm just trying to help.
Is that related to Pau Gasol? Is that Pau Gasol?
Yeah, he's actually
his brother Mark.
Okay. MARC. Bet you didn't know I had that in my brain.
No, but I think
Ibaka.
Serge.
It's my favorite player, Serge, other than Harden. Omar, the shot at Harden earlier was a little untasteful. And then you saying that everyone's clamoring for the all LA matchup. I beg to differ on that one. I am not part of the everyone. And Paul George resurging for the team that he plays for. That is excellent news. I'm so happy to hear that.
Directly above the message where I said Paul George.
Honestly, like the Paul George has been balling out. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, if we're keeping it real, he's been the best player for the Clippers this year so far. He's been kind of carrying them because Kawhi has just been, he's just been there, but he's played at an insane level. But then again, I always go back to the same thing. It's not like we haven't seen him do this before. Can he do this in the playoffs? That's always gonna be the question. So until he does it then, because I mean we've seen him do this before, but I thought in my mind, in the bubble with no fans, maybe he might not choke this year, but I mean we saw it was the same result. So I don't know. He's been playing outstanding basketball. I can't lie about that. But yeah, I mean the Clippers look good too. So I'm hoping that, like I said, hopefully we get that matchup everyone's been wanting. And I still think they're better than the Nets. Just from the defense, because of the defensive aspect. Because if you're telling me DeAndre Jordan has to guard Anthony Davis for 40 minutes, yeah, I don't know about that.
Well.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
The Nets defense is just such a problem. Like Colin Sexton, raw bucket, great player, love Colin. But if he's capable of putting a 40 piece on teams. But if that's like the championship favorite, I mean, obviously there's a long season that they have to figure out their defense, but do they really have the personnel to make something happen like that? Like they have Bruce Brown, good defender. Harden, very subpar. Kyrie, really bad. KD's a good defender, but DeAndre Jordan is like 6 years past the sell-by date. Like if this was like a 2012 roster, prime DeAndre Jordan, prime Jeff Green, young KD, young Harden, this would be
Kyrie at Duke.
A little bit better.
Kyrie exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, like rookie of the year, Kyrie Irving, a little bit past that, but I mean, it's a great team, obviously. But how far can a team get on pure offense in the playoffs when there's game planning and you're going up against teams with great coaches, great schemes? I don't know. A lot of question marks. Really hard to count out. It's three of the best isolation scorers in the game. Three of the best scorers, period. and a pretty solid supporting cast, like the kind of role players that can get you championships. Jeff Green, really good, like championship style role player, in my opinion. DeAndre Jordan, I mean, he's a pick and roll player. He does that. But I don't know. It's hard to count out the big three. But then when you look at the defense, it's kind of like, how far can they really go?
I think you're right. Like, it's when you have three of the best players in the league, you can't just be like, oh, they're not going to be a factor, because it could be, you know, they will be a factor. But I think that defensive end is going to come into play once you get to the playoffs, and you're going to need a stop. You know, who's going to get that stop? Because I know Kyrie's always been a bad defender. Harden seems like he doesn't really try at all. And KD, while he might be a good defender, he's also really slim. So matched up against the wrong person, and he's not going to really look good. You know, because let's say for some reason the Nets put KD on AD, right? That's not going to work out, because he's just going to outbody him, and he's just going to get an easy bucket. So as much as KD is like a really good defender, it's just not going to work out with the type of personnel that they need, especially in a long series where teams can kind of figure it out. If you make Colin Sexton look like prime Michael Jordan, and you know, it's not really going to work out. But I still think the Lakers should be the favorites. I honestly think the Nets match up better against the Clippers than they do against the Lakers.
If you look at how the playoffs go, especially with like a guard dominant team, it's just going to be Kyrie and Harden, probably Kyrie getting picked on. And you saw that you can see that at the end of some of their games when they're actually playing good teams, is that they'll get those switches with like a guard to guard pick and roll, or like whoever. So it's going to be, or probably like Bruce Brown, maybe, I don't know, guarding the best ball handling of the team. They're going to clear it out. They're going to pull up Kyrie's defender, switch him onto Kyrie, and then it's just going to be an ISO score. So when it's going on the stretch like that, I mean, obviously the Nets they're definitely the best ISO ball team. Like, they're definitely going to be able to out ISO you, but I don't know, when there's that much of a difference defensive, I'm kind of harping on the defense, but that's kind of the only downside of the team. It's three of the best scorers in the league.
And don't get me wrong, there's going to be a game or two where they're hitting all their clutch shots, right? You know, KD or Kyrie, they have that clutch gene, but then most of the time they're not. You're not going to make all the clutch shots, so you're going to need to get some defensive stops. I just think they're going to need to make a trade somehow. I don't really know who's available that would really work. They were looking at like JaVale McGee, but as you saw last playoffs, like, he's unplayable in the playoffs. Once he lost that spot to Dwight on the Lakers, like in the rotation, and after the Houston series, he's basically a non-factor. He didn't even play at all, because he's an awful pick and roll defender. And if the Nets get him, that's just what they're going to be doing on the pick and roll. It's going to be a mess. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see. Hopefully, COVID allows us to have somewhat of a as smooth as possible season, so we can get to the playoffs around June.
I just had a stat real quick. Basically, I saw this from a NBA YouTuber, Dom2K. I think he's a good friend of Tyrese Halliburton too. So
makes banger vids with Tyrese Halliburton. It's very fun.
Yes, he put out that Nikola Vucevic, he had 34 points against the Nets. Giannis had 34 points. Nance, Drummond, and Jared Allen combined for 53 among those three players alone, and Adebayo had 41. So, you know, again, it's just like something to keep note of. You know, it's also like, you know, yeah, Anthony Davis could be a huge mismatch for them.
Yeah, and they went down to the wire with the Heat that was missing Jimmy Butler. Like, Adebayo was just torching them. Like, they just really had no answer for him. But yeah, we'll see. I think when they have when their offensive coach is Mike D'Antoni, who's not really known for their defense, you know, it's gonna be tough. So we'll see. I'm interested to see what they do.
Yeah, I think they just have too much redundancy. You know, Kyrie and Harden are both really good ISO scorers that are minus defenders. I think if I were the Nets, I'd be trying to move off of Kyrie, honestly, to get some better wing depth, some more defense. I just don't know if that's going to please the stars. They seem like they want to play with each other. So,
well, do you think there's a trade that's not Kyrie where they can bring in some wing depth or some guard depth that can actually defend? Because I don't know if they have the pieces to move anyone.
They traded away all their picks, right? I don't think they
Yeah,
do.
You can't move Spencer Dinwiddie. He's injured. If you then
I
move
think
Joe
that
Harris, like then they really
yeah, the best asset they have is like Joe Harris. I think that's their best
They need
tradable asset.
Joe. They need Joey, the chase down specialist.
Caruso will be putting clamps on him in the playoffs, but whatever, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Caruso runs
good.
through off-ball screens for 25 minutes a night, and Lakers fans think he's the best player ever.
I'll have you know, the rating with him and LeBron on the court is one of the best in the league, and that's not just this season. It was the season before and the season before that, LeBron's first year. So it's not just a whatever. Caruso's a legit baller, and he's actually, I want to say, top 5 in the league in 3-point percentage. He's a 50% 3-point shooter so far in the league.
He's shooting.
KCP's at like 56%. They're just at an insane level.
When you have
KCP's confident.
Marc
Go for it.
Gasol, Dennis Schroeder, and LeBron James, and Anthony Davis too are all really good passers. So you just have spot up shooters around the 3-point line, and they're going to get wide open shots.
And that was
That's fun.
that was another thing that I had forgotten. Miles, you hit it on the nail. The passing. Anthony Davis's passing this year has just looked a lot sharper than it did last year. Because that was the one thing that if you threw a double at Anthony Davis last year, a lot of the times he'd throw it away or not really give a good pass. But I mean, you saw this year so far he's been a really good passer. I think I want to say the game against the Bucks or the one of the last couple games he had like, I think it was 8 assists in the first quarter. Like it was like a crazy amount. So his passing has gotten a lot better. So I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, he's even upgrading after that miraculous bubble performance. He's getting even better and better, which is scary for the league. But I'm sure Omar's feeling happy about it. Any other teams you guys want to hit NBA wise?
The Bulls.
Let's talk about the home of the Sacramento Kings too. After the Bulls go
All
first,
right.
but the
Agree
home
with that
of the
Bulls
Rookie of the Year,
offense.
Sacramento Kings.
Zach LaVine looking like a bona fide scorer, but not sure how else the team's looking, right, Patrick?
Free
Lauri
Zach.
Markkanen has actually been decent. I think his points per game average, he's at 18 right now, which his jump is I think he was a 14 point per game scorer in the previous season. So he's making a jump and he's looked a lot better. He's definitely stood out a lot more. Kobe White also looks pretty good. And we were on a 3-game winning streak until the Lakers ruined that. And before that, we out of the last 7 games, they had either won or they lost by no less than 3. So they played some pretty tough teams. I know they played the Lakers, they played the Clippers tough. They blew it against the Thunder, but again, I think are they still in there for 9th in the East? Like,
yeah, they're close. They're in the play-in spot right now if the season ended today. I know we're only like 15 some odd games in, but they are hanging tough in the East, better than I think most people expected. Patrick Williams is a big part of that. He's playing really good defense. I think they always put him on the best wing scorer every night. So he's had to guard like LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, all these people as like a 20-year-old. But he's done pretty well. He's an encouraging sign for the number 4 pick.
let me just say, when I saw him get drafted, I knew he'd be a stud right away.
Wow.
I did too.
Like-
I thought the same thing.
He's got a great name, so like it just translates to good basketball.
It translates.
Of course.
I will say, I think I read this one thing that under Billy Donovan, the Bulls' offense has looked a lot better. So I think that's definitely a big part of it, and maybe they'll sneak into one of those play-in spots. But I mean, you can't deny that the young pieces are there. You have Zach LaVine. If Markkanen could kind of find what he was kind of having in his first 2 years, I want to say, Kobe White, if he can become so, like they have some potential there. It's just they need a good development to kind of maybe become a possible contender.
I have faith. 8 seed, we're coming for it. Sorry, Miles. The Knicks are gonna have to wait for next year.
Well, that's a good segue. We can get to Zach. I just want to do a quick Knicks interlude. They recently just played to the against the Sacramento Kings in the League's
Wow.
worst defense was able to handle the Knicks' second worst offense.
Clamp demons.
Yeah, they clamped us up pretty hard. But before that, the Knicks went on a 3-game win streak, which they topped off with a victory against the Warriors, which was nice.
Legitimately rigged.
Yeah, rigged. Maybe Draymond shouldn't be getting dumb technicals in the first quarter, huh?
He's not supposed to talk to his teammate. He talked to his teammate, and the NBA rescinds it the next day, but they
Yeah.
couldn't do
I
it
bet
during
James
the game.
Wiseman was so
That was
happy.
bad.
Don't
to
even
tweet
get me
up. He's so
started.
tired of him talking to him.
Don't even get me started on it. If it, yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. But Knicks are looking like not a god awful garbage organization for once in the past 8 years. So that's encouraging for me. They're playing the Trailblazers right now. They've been losing by like 20 or 15 most of the game, but Emmanuel quickly, the steal of the draft, is hitting threes, hitting floaters, down 5 now, only 96-91 with 7 minutes to go. Hopefully the Knicks can pull this one out, get back to 500, 9-9, baby. All right, well, Will, let's hear your sack spiel. Ryan can't hear you.
Well, why
Oh, hear me now?
Yeah.
I thought that was the best pickup in the draft. Very good. I'm serious. I like him.
Where did he go to college again, Ryan?
Yeah, I
Just
don't
remind
remember.
me.
Slipping my mind.
Will typing furiously into the chat.
I like his 3-point ability.
Yeah.
And when he dunks, I think it's cool. So look, man, when it comes to the basketball, I think he's pretty good, and I'm happy to see him doing well. Go New York.
New York, indeed. Miles is frantically watching this
I'm
Knicks
praying
Blazers
for a
game
Knicks
right now.
comeback.
It's pretty entertaining game.
I honestly, I swear this is not just me trying to play a joke. I did not know it was NBA season.
Yeah.
I knew there were football
What do you
games
think
today.
you've been talking about?
I know. I have not been listening at all. I've been zoned out. I don't like basketball.
Well, you should
Sorry.
keep zoning out because I'm going to talk about the Kings, who are not fun to watch.
Go Padres, though. I know what it's like to.
What's your King stock, Will?
Stocktown. All right, so worst defensive rating in NBA history. Very, very terrible to watch. Really, really awful team to trot out on the floor. Fine on offense, honestly. De'Aaron Fox is a maven. He's been playing amazing in his past like 3 or 4 games. He's been knocking down threes like near 40%, scoring like 26 points a game, 7 assists. He looks great. Sort of a shaky start of the season, but under Luke Walton, what can you expect? Tyrese Halliburton might be the greatest player of all time. And I'm not trying to joke. He might be the greatest player ever. 2-way, insane team defender, hawks passing lanes like prime MJ. Reads the game like Magic Johnson. He just has all the tools. Knocks down threes like prime Curry. I mean, I can go on. He's got the gnarliest shot from ever. He looks like this is probably how Ryan shoots the ball. He's got the weirdest little hitch where he puts it up, and it makes when he shoots off the bounce, it is so much more awkward too, because he has to paddle the ball around in his own hands. Knocks him down anyway. Shooting most 3-pointers made by any rookie, and he's shooting like 49%, which is crazy. He's shooting like, I want to say like 3 or 4 attempts a game, and he's just great to watch. So if the Kings can complete the tank, and I do think that keeping Luke Walton is the tank, that is why he's still there, because he's a terrible coach. I don't really think he's the solution. There's not a lot of accountability. The team is awful on defense. Rex Kalamian was supposed to become the defensive guru and come in and help us, and it looked fine the first couple games. We were 3-1 at the beginning, and now the Kings' true colors are showing through. So, complete the tank, fade for Cade, and we'll be back next year and make the playoffs.
Cade, I like that.
I mean, and we can fade for Cade is, you'll see that more than anything else on Kings Reddit and Kings Twitter. But I mean, I'm obviously going to say that the Kings are making the playing game because, loyal to the squad. I will say they're making the playoffs every year. Will they actually make it? Who could know? Some moves are going to be made. Bielitsa is probably going to get traded. He doesn't get any run, which is sad, but he's great. But
what about Bagley? I think Bagley might be getting traded.
All right, so listen to this. Since Coach Bagley made the tweet, he's been playing pretty well. He's had a few 20 and 10 games. He got a few blocks. He looks improved defensively from an effort standpoint. He's getting some blocks. Not really sure if that's the solution, if it's a solution long term quite yet, because he's not super consistent on defense, but he's stretching the floor a little bit too, knocking down some threes. So I think that he's going to be just fine. Rashawn Holmes, best center since Shaq. He's pretty unbelievable. He knocks down his little floater push shot mid-range thing about 100% of the time.
He's
really unbelievable.
He's a beast in the paint. He patrols the paint so well.
That floater push-off shot is nuts, bro.
It is. It's legitimately nuts. It was one of the highest percentage shots in the NBA. I'd take it over a layup or a dunk. But he,
pretty awesome.
It's just great to watch. I would love to keep him around. I think we should sign him to a nice little contract extension if we can, as soon as possible. But the Kings are looking great, but we're really supposed to look great with Luke Walton at the helm with this roster. Probably a little better than this, but if we keep falling back and get a good pick, I won't mind. And if we move up and make the play-in game, first time we made the playoffs since I was.
How long has it been? It's been about 15 years. So sounds good to me. Either way, I'm happy. Yeah.
Was also one of the.
My computer is about to die, and I don't have my charger.
What's also almost automatic, Will? On Alex Caruso.
If you say that the Lakers
he's shooting 50% from three. I don't know if you knew, but he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. So
that's thank you.
Yeah, I love it. The Kings can use a player like that.
Me too.
Use an upgrade at the point guard position.
I will not ever stand for Omar. Omar thinks that Lonzo Ball is going to be better than De'Aaron Fox, and it's just honestly a farce at this point. It's so funny.
Very true.
Makes me laugh. Makes me cry. Tears of joy to hear someone saying something so foolish. So
Lonzo is going to he has to end up in the right situation, and then once he's going to be better than De'Aaron Fox ever was. And I truly believe that.
De'Aaron Fox in the worst situation possible, and he's still doing.
All right, my computer is now saying 0% on the battery. So.
All right, well,
we're on
I think that might be a sign too for our Aggie Talk.
Yeah.
Our Aggie Talk episode. It was nice having y'all here. Ryan, there's one more thing. Let's hear it.
This was very fun. Willie, Patty, Bobby, Miley, Nikki. I had a blast with you guys. I hope we get to do it in studio again at some point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
See you guys later. You guys know how we like to end it.
Go Ags.
Go Ags.
Oh.
I was waiting.
Go
All
Ags.
together, guys. Come on.
All right, ready?
1, 2, 3. Go
Go
Ags.
Ags.